Powered by the Montana Television Network. Montana This Morning continues on Montana's News Leader.
9 people are hospitalized, most of them young children, following a stabbing rampage at a 3-year-old's birthday party. I'm Laura Podesta. I'll have details on the suspect and why police say this was possibly a hate crime.
Fireworks are fun, but they're also dangerous. I'm Adair's Bab, and later on, I'll let you know how you can keep all your fingers and toes intact while still celebrating the 4th of July.
Welcome back. Just ahead of 6:30 on this Monday. Our top story this morning: tragedy strikes a 3-year-old's birthday party in Idaho when a man goes on a stabbing rampage.
CBS News correspondent Laura Podesta tells us about the suspect, the injuries, and why police say the crime is something they've never seen before.
Investigators in Boise, Idaho say Timothy Kinner is in custody, accused of stabbing 9 people at a child's birthday party Saturday.
A 3-year-old girl whose birthday it was one of those seriously injured, including 2 4-year-olds, a 6-year-old, an 8-year-old, and a 12-year-old, along with 3 adults.
Chief of Police William Bone said the motive behind the attack is still not known, and the department has not ruled out whether it was a hate crime. Many of the victims were refugees who'd recently fled violence in their home countries of Syria, Iraq, and Ethiopia. Investigators say Kinner had been living in the apartment complex a few doors down from where the party took place. He'd been asked to leave the day before.
We saw him saying like bad words and
killing and stabbing our friends.
And stabbing a kid.
These young witnesses told the CBS affiliate in Boise they were playing outside when they saw the man run into the party and the rampage began. They ran to a nearby house and hid in a closet to wait for police to arrive.
The faces of the parents struggling, the tears coming down their faces, the faces of the children in the hospital beds will be something that I'll carry with me for the rest of my life.
Kinner will be arraigned in court today. Police say he has an extensive criminal record in multiple states, including violent crimes. Laura Podesta, CBS News, New York.
Now authorities say all 9 victims are facing serious injuries. Boise police say this is the most victims in a single incident in the department's history. Just so disturbing.
Story will continue to update with you here on Montana This Morning. Right now, just ahead of 6:32, Matt steps in to join us. I just stepped outside a moment ago. Continuing beautiful weather outside.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
You're so welcome. I did so much. Not too bad for the morning. Temperatures into the 40s and 50s. I do have a few clouds out in parts of the area, but really not a big issue for us. Our daytime high should be well into the 70s. For today, a nice warm up on tap for us as we head into the afternoon. Looks like the next couple of days are going to be pretty nice. A little sneak peek. We could see 90s in some areas before the end of the week. Your complete forecast coming up.
I'm just going to focus on the 58 for the start of the parade on Wednesday. Thanks. Shifting gears a bit, Matt, the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission, also known as the CPSC, reported that last year close to 13,000 people were injured. 8 people were killed as a result of fireworks. MTN's Adair's Bab gives us some tips on keeping all your fingers and toes intact on this 4th of July.
It absolutely can be dangerous, and that's why we want to remind people to do things safely. We want you to have fun, but we want you to be safe and enjoy the holiday.
Since 2002, the CPSC says about 7 people die each year in the U.S. as a result of fireworks. Bozeman Fire Chief Josh Waldo says the best way to stay safe when lighting off fireworks is to be prepared. You can do this by keeping a bucket of water, fire extinguisher, or garden hose nearby.
Have that water readily available, and like I said, if you have something that doesn't operate as you thought it would, give it time to kind of cool off before you approach it, and when you do get there, make sure you drown it in water.
What fireworks cause the most harm? You might be surprised by this, but about half of the firework injuries that are reported to the ER each year are caused by sparklers.
Even something as simple as sparklers can hurt someone, so it's always great to have an adult there to supervise kids with the fireworks.
If you or anyone around you do get hurt from a firework, the first thing you should do is call 911. However, this isn't the number you should call to report a noise complaint.
Especially during the holidays, 911 takes a lot of calls, and if a neighbor is doing something that they shouldn't be doing, With fireworks, the non-emergency number for Bozeman Police Department is the most appropriate number to call, not 911.
When lighting fireworks, make sure to read the instructions on the back. Do not place any body part over the firework when lighting the fuse, and never light them while intoxicated. In Bozeman, Medeiros Babb, MTN News.
Now also for all the rules, regulations for lighting off fireworks in Bozeman and Butte, head over to our websites, KXLF.com.
And in Billings last week, former network news anchor Tom Brokaw spoke at a Billings clinic. He talked partly about health care, his battle with cancer, and stories that he's covered over the years. MTN's David J. reports on what Brokaw had to say about the country.
So please join me in giving Mr. Tom Brokaw a very warm Billings Clinic in Montana welcome.
Tom Brokaw started working for NBC News in 1966 and gave his thoughts on politics and culture in the United States.
A lot of people say this is the worst time in modern American history. I don't think it is, but we're working hard to make it that way. And my strong feeling is, as a journalist for 55 years now, is that we'll not work our way out of it unless we work together.
And then he talked about how the country came through difficult times.
The worst time, in my judgment, was 1968. We lost 16,000 people in Vietnam. Dr. King, one of the heroic figures in American life, was murdered in Memphis, Tennessee, when he was trying to settle a sanitation strike. And not that long after that, Bobby Kennedy was murdered. But what held us together? Our institutions held us together. The fact is that people invested in the institutions and believed in the rule of law and believed in the separation of powers that we have in Washington.
He also talked about the Great Recession from 2007 to 2009.
People in America lost faith in institutions. And they lost faith in part because there was enormous abuse at the top, especially in financial institutions.
And he gave his assessment of some of the presidents he has covered.
He restored American faith in itself. Bill Clinton was as adept a politician as I've ever known, but he had a lot of fatal flaws in terms of his personality. Jimmy Carter is the best ex-president we've ever had. He simply, I don't think, was ready for the job, and of course, it all caved in on him. Nixon will befuddle me for the rest of my days. He was a brilliant guy when it came to international.
And Tom Brokaw has his take on what will help America.
Be open to the view of your neighbor and have civil discussions about what's in the best interest of the country.
David J., MTN News, Billings.
That's a great piece of advice. Tom Brokaw said hospitals are an example of institutions that work well. He also talked about former Senators Bob Dole and Daniel Inouye, roommates after getting injured during the World War II. They also worked well together in the U.S. Senate, despite being from different political parties. Brokaw and his wife live part-time of the year in Livingston.
Shifting gears a bit, recently named the 2018 Event of the Year by the Montana Office of Tourism, the Red Ants Pants Music Festival takes place July 26th through the 29th this year. This year, the lineup includes Dwight Yoakam, Pam Tillis, Lori Morgan, and so many more. In a special Under the Big Sky, we return to White Sulphur Springs, where Sarah Calhoun, founder and owner of Red Ants Pants, takes us behind the scenes of how this festival all got started.
Under the Big Sky is sponsored by Rocky Mountain Vein Clinic and Markovich Real Estate.
A friend of mine down in Livingston, she's like, Montana needs a music festival. Maybe Red Ants Pants should sponsor one. And she had some great connections in the industry. And I was like, you know what? Maybe that would be a fun way to do it. I ran it by my advisory board, and one guy said, this is the riskiest move ever, but this is brilliant, and I think you should go for it. I still am amazed that we pulled it off, but it was basically because of all the friends and family and hard workers that showed up, a lot of volunteers, a lot of community-driven effort. You know, we had the football team out there collecting trash, and the school groups filling in gopher holes and picking rocks ahead of time, and the cattle women selling breakfast in the campground, and from every direction, just people pitched in. And then 6,000 people showed up for the first annual Red Ants Pants Music Festival, and that tripled the county's population. So it's pretty incredible. That first year we had Lyle Lovett and Jerry Jeff Walker, Guy Clark, Rodney Crowell, a whole bunch of really good acts. The Red Ants Pants Foundation is funded by our music festival fully. It's really fun to be able to have a party in a cow pasture and then give some money away to worthwhile projects across the state. We got a lot of feedback from people out in the fan world that were just saying, kind of seems like this event was run by women. The attention to detail was beautiful. But now we've gotten to a point where it's a lot more streamlined and it's going well. But yeah, we've come a long way.
A long way
Great time.
Indeed.
Great time.
Such a cool woman.
Amazing.
Amazing.
Truly one of the most amazing people I've ever had the opportunity to interview.
I have a lot of jobs, and she makes me feel lazy how hard
Oh my
she
gosh,
works.
I know, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's incredible. I keep up all the good work.
And does a pretty good pair of pants, too. Makes some
Yeah.
really nice work pants on the side.
One time I asked her about the pants, she said, I made them too well.
Yeah.
That you don't need to buy a second
No,
pair.
a lot of people do, though.
We do have to take a quick break, but stay with us. Up next, a fascinating story out of France. Get this. An infamous gangster escapes from a high-powered prison with a hijacked helicopter. Wow.
Yeah, we'll have that. But first, let's check in with Nora O'Donnell, see what's coming up at 7 o'clock on CBS this morning.
Good morning ahead here on CBS this morning. Scorching temperatures sweep across the country, putting some areas in the triple digits. The city's declaring heat emergencies and how they're keeping people safe. And we'll introduce you to the only female counter sniper in the NYPD. Ahead in our Profiles in Service series, we go on a training mission to the top of the Brooklyn Bridge. We'll see you right at 7.